Thanks for joining me, Dr. Joy. I am excited to be able to introduce you to the Spotlight on Spirit listeners because you bring a wealth of information and experience from a few different fields, and then you've been able to weave them together. And so I'm going to turn the microphone over to you a little bit. And if you could tell us, who are you? How did you get into coaching? Because that's one of the things that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, first, I want to say thank you so much for having me. I'm really, really excited to share a little bit about my experience and hopefully be able to touch some lives with joy. So I'll just start with that. Everything around me, everything I think about is joy. And that's where I got the nickname Dr. Joy. My name is Letitia, and I love having that experience to be able to spread joy to other people. So a little bit about me. I am an aromatherapist, aromatherapy practitioner, and also a Christian life coach. And I have incorporated some of my experience in communication and in personal and professional development and incorporated it with faith as well as aromatherapy. So, really looking at taking a holistic approach to helping people experience more joy in their life. And joy, what exactly does that mean? We think joy is like a feeling, an emotion. Well, I kind of think of it as the pillar of my practice. So, Jesus, others, yourself. You might have heard that acronym. J is Jesus, O is others. Why yourself, and how I take that into my practice is I help people build those pillars, really focusing on, if you would think about like a sandwich, if we don't have the pieces of bread, everything in the inside kind of falls apart. And I see joy as Jesus being one side of that sandwich, ourselves being the other piece, and everything in the middle in order to serve and to help others and to be able to be our best self. We really have to be really connected with Jesus and taking care of ourselves. And that way we can be our best version for God and others.
That's just wonderful. We met at a Woman Over 40 event. I don't know if you remember that. It was a few years ago.
Yes.
And then also you were asked, I think a few years ago, to start up a woman's group, a military Women's Over 40 veteran group. And that continues.
Yes. Yes. So we met, it was back in September of 2021. And it was a women's 40 and over support group. We had meetings at the VFW. And this was actually a 7-week session where we used this book. This was the book that we used. And it's the 7 P's Breaking Through to Unshakable Joy. This is the book that I wrote. And we used this as a guide to bring more joy into our lives. And it included also joy lettering, which you briefly talked about, and that is really art therapy. And we used aromatherapy. And so that was just the beginning. We didn't know what was going to come out of it. We didn't know what the response was going to be. But we had a very good response, and the women wanted more. So this group that we continue to be is now called Joy Company, and we meet once a month at the VFW, and we really focus on evidence-based approaches to supporting stress relief and resilience, productivity, and healthy living. We make it fun. I really focus on SMART goals as well as aromatherapy. Every session that we have, I have a topic that's relevant. It could be health focus. It could be mental and emotional wellness. And so it's relevant topics that they're interested in and areas that they want to grow. So we incorporate aromatherapy. So each session, they have an opportunity to learn something about aromatherapy, whether it's topical application, the benefits of brain, mental, and emotional support, achy joints, as we age. We experience a lot of just daily ailments. And so we can use natural ways like aromatherapy to help ease some of those areas and to help make us feel better, to help improve our quality of life. And so,
Yeah.
so that group, we're still meeting. Actually, we're meeting on Tuesday. Yeah, absolutely love them.
It's
Love
wonderful.
them.
Do you have a military connection outside of the Women's Veteran Group? How did you get connected to the military?
Yeah, so my husband served in the Navy for 10 years, reserves as well, and he was also in the South Dakota National Guard. He's a member of the American Legion.
Oh, yay.
Yay! And my
Yay.
father-in-law actually was American Legion past department commander for South Dakota,
Oh,
and
my.
also past national vice commander, American Post 17 in Watertown, South Dakota.
Watertown.
So yeah, and the actually how I got connected with the women's group, and actually there's a step before that, is
Oh,
I work for Rochester Clinic, and my boss at the time was also friends with the veteran affairs officer,
Jennifer.
and I came and did some sessions with the PTSD support group, and my heart just I just connected with them so much that after the sessions through Rochester Clinic, I
Mhm.
continued to attend the support group just to provide support in aromatherapy, listen to the stories, and just to be present. And I learned a lot from them. I still attend the PTSD support group and provide aromatherapy support, as well as what we talked about, resilience, evidence
Yeah.
based approaches to just relieve stress and improve quality of life. Yeah. So that's how I
Yeah.
got connected.
Can you share a little bit more about um, being certified in aromatherapy and what that has done for your coaching business?
We think about our sense of smell and how we could smell a cup of coffee and it might make us happy, or we might uh, walk into a bakery and smell cookies, and then it takes us back to grandma's cookies and how grandma used to
Mhm.
cook us bake cookies. So that same way that our sense of smell starts to access our limbic system, starts to access our
Mhm.
memories, is the same way the essential oils work. They, with the chemical constituents each one has, it has a different effect on the body. Some can be relaxing, some can uplift the mood, some can improve the respiratory system. So each one of the essential oils that we have and have access to affect our bodies in a different way. And that's where I really love to take this into my practice and take an individualized approach to it. And I'll talk about my personal experience when I first started using essential oils. When I first started using essential oils, I was pregnant with our sixth baby. And I
Uh-huh.
really didn't know much about it, but I was drawn to this essential oil. How interesting! It's the essential oil Joy, and
Okay.
so that when I was seeking out support for mental and emotional support postpartum, and I wanted to try to take a holistic approach, try to take a natural approach to it. Honestly, I did not think it would work. I was a
Uh,
skeptic,
uh-huh.
and so was my husband. 100%. He will sit here next to me and
Sure.
say, 100%. I thought it was like, what are the chances?
Hokey
So
pokey stuff.
right. And I gave up a coffee machine. Okay. And we know post baby, caffeine is almost a necessity, right?
Yeah.
But he says, you can have a coffee machine or you can have these oils. Which one are you going to take? And I'm like, do you take the one that you know for sure is going to work? Or do you
Uh-huh.
take the one you don't know anything really much about? And
Right.
so I took my chances. I said, the research that I did,
Uh-huh.
I really feel like this is going to work. And I will say, and I'm fast forwarding here.
Uh-huh.
I could not believe how much it helped my emotional and mental health postpartum, to the point
Oh,
where I didn't think it was working
sure.
until I stopped using it. And then I couldn't figure out why I was
Oh,
so irritable and so edgy and so like, what is my problem? I don't even want to be in my own skin.
right.
And then I realized I stopped using Joy. And that's when I really connected the mental emotional support that can come from the essential oils. And then I went on to study aromatherapy because I wanted to bring this to other people and help them understand that what may not make sense actually does make sense because there's science behind it.
Yeah.
And when we understand how our bodies work, we don't even really need to get into the complexities of it, but to understand
Mhm.
our sense of smell triggers memories, whether
Yeah.
we realize it or not, being conscious of it. Yeah. But a lot of times we could smell things and we don't even realize that we're associating our smells with an event
Mhm.
or a memory, or something that has happened. So that's where I really like to focus on helping people is
Mhm.
reaching them through the sense of smell. If they're accessing memories and emotions, how this can be used to calm the body, like using essential oils to calm the central nervous system, to help with sleep,
Mhm.
things that we may not realize are, starting to build up and affecting our productivity and the way we interact and engage with other people. That we
Yeah.
can help support our bodies in a very simple way, if we don't overcomplicate it, right? And being safe in the
Yeah.
process. Yes.
Yeah. Because there's tools that we can use that the external stimulation, our experiences, and then what we think about ourselves affect how we interact with ourselves and the external world, right?
Exactly. Exactly.
And there's these tools that we can use. I always think of oils kind of somewhat as a tool,
Hmm.
if you will.
Yeah.
There's something out there that we can work with and works with us,
Right.
kind of companioning, to
Exactly.
give us a better quality of life that we're looking for. And that is really the nugget of coaching, isn't it? Is you're
Yes.
companioning along with individuals.
Exactly.
Mm.
And that's really where I love to connect and support people on an individual basis, and really understanding that when I do my coaching, I don't follow like this is what we're going to do week one, and once you finish that, you're going to get to week two, and then and in that process, while I think there's a place for that, absolutely, but
Yeah.
I really like to meet people where they are. So if they're not progressing in the way that they think or should, that I meet them there and help them move
Yeah.
to the next step, and that there's no deadline and there's no pressure of what it's supposed to look like. But there's enough of a nudge to make you feel like you got to get on your feet and you got to move and you've got to invest into yourself in order to see progress. But I really, again, take that holistic
Yeah.
approach. So if they're coming in and they're having all these
Yep.
stressors attacking, right? There's so many things going on. We do have to we do have to get to the root of what's going on in order to make
Mhm.
progress in these other areas. So we work on things like healthy living and time management and
Mhm.
developing healthy routines and things that work within your lifestyle, that will help you to feel more productive, that will help you to feel happier, considering your
Mhm.
circumstances or wherever you are in life. So it's
Yeah.
not you're going to wake up and everything's happy and everything's changed. This is Dr. Joy,
No.
and everything's
Yep.
happy, happy, joy, joy. No, not like that at all. It's not like
No.
that at all. It's a definitely a process, and
Yep.
I will say joy comes with a lot of tears, and it comes with a lot of hardship, and that's where you experience
Mhm.
joy. So without hardships, you wouldn't know what joy feels like.
One of the things I've been learning as I've gotten older over the years is, your state of your being, like how you approach your life, is a choice.
Hmm.
Um, your feelings kind of come and go.
Yes.
But one of the things that you're talking about with joy, it really is a choosing, if you will, where you decide this is what I'm going to do aside of all the things or in spite of or because of, but you choose that path. And the coaching, I've experienced your coaching. I've experienced that nudge where you holistically have listened to the transition in my life, and then you were able to pull out the elements to say, okay, let's put these together concisely, and maybe you could think about moving in this direction. And you were spot on. It was like
Mm,
that's where your coaching skills. really shine is being able to listen.
Yes, definitely. And also, kind of thinking about the key piece there, like you said, is listening.
Mhm,
I think incorporating faith is huge. I
mhm,
give God all the glory for that. It's because it was a lot of, times on my knees and seeking Him and asking
mm,
Him, where do you want me to be? What do you want me to be
mhm,
doing? How can I use my skills and talents to serve you? And I think about, when you think about listening, the verse that comes to me is, James 1:19, to be slow to speak, quick to listen, and slow to
mm,
get angry. I love every aspect of coaching. Listening is the biggest piece.
mm.
That's the part that I think that skill was the hardest to build. And it
I think,
is,
yeah,
it is
yeah.
definitely, it's definitely one that you
Mhm,
can continue to grow. You can continue to grow.
yeah,
Even if you think you're the best listener, I have learned, and the Lord has showed me, that you can listen more, you can listen better. You can listen with a heart that is open
deeper.
and understanding.
Yeah.
So that coaching has also been a blessing to me, with being able to reach people in their times of sadness and
Mhm,
grief
mhm,
and difficult seasons of their life where they feel very alone and isolated.
right.
And in moments like that, joy is the last thing that they want to hear about. Joy is like,
Definitely.
yeah, right. Like, I'm not feeling it. I'm not
Right.
feeling that joy right now. And that's again where it's the feeling, separating that feeling from a choice. It's not that you're going through this grieving process and all of a sudden I want you to be like, yes, I want to do everything and I want to enjoy life. And this is no,
I haven't met any human being that wants to live in misery. We somehow we know that life is about peace, it's about love. But then we live in a world where there's all these things that contradict that, right?
right.
And the companioning piece, being able to know that somebody's on your side to be with you that can kind of see the end of the road is a
Right.
lot like coaching, isn't it?
Yes.
And or
Yes.
counseling
Mhm.
versus, but coaching, your script takes second place, it sounds like, because you're going to help that person navigate where they want to be, where they can be,
Mhm.
but you kind of help them figure it out.
Right.
It
Yes.
doesn't sound like it's very prescriptive, if you will. It sounds
Yeah.
like you're companioning with them.
Exactly. And I love how
Ah,
you say that. Yes. I love
okay.
that, because it's a journey together. It's a journey that we're walking alongside.
Yeah.
I will often say that I will do things alongside my clients if I haven't done it before. I won't tell you to do something that I have not done, or that I have not done deep research
Right.
for a particular thing, or no testimonials alongside with it. But a lot of times, if they want to go through a book, or I just had a client recently that had listened to a sermon on fear,
Hmm.
and she thought this was amazing for her. And I said, well, send me the sermon, because I want to hear this sermon, and let's
Mm-hmm.
break it down together and see how we can incorporate these elements into your life. And so
Love
I
that.
really like to take things that
Mhm.
are either working for my clients, or maybe they have something and they're like, I just really don't know how to use this. I know I want to, but
Right.
I don't know how to break it down. I don't know how to put it into practical uh, application. This is
Yep.
a bit overwhelming for me, kind of like the Bible.
We
We
get
can,
confused.
yes, it can be
Yeah.
confusing. And when you have somebody walking alongside you, and breaking it down for you and helping you take it into smaller pieces and apply it, it's just so much easier. So much
Hmm.
easier.
We've had to, I've had to give up some of my autonomy,
Mm,
not my agency, but to let somebody speak into my life. I think we struggle with that.
right.
Listening to you and watching, and you don't um, tell somebody that they need to hear you. you have a really soft approach of in creating that environment where other voices can be heard, which is coaching.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. It is I love that how you emphasize community, fellowship, that connection.
The
And I
connection.
think that's what makes like our women veterans group so
Mm.
works so well is because of that fellowship. They come for that fellowship and
Yeah.
that community. And I think, again, we need that in order. It's just the way God made us. He made
Hmm.
us to have that desire for connection.
Yeah.
And whether we want to be open to it or not,
Yeah.
we're missing out on it if we choose not to. It's just a part of
Yep.
us that will kind of have that hole there, but not to replace that connection with God. That's where I would say it's not to have this fellowship here in place
Hmm.
of that fellowship, with God, but to take that fellowship with God and incorporate it into the fellowship in the community that we have with others. We are on 33 months chronic pain and the journey
Oh.
is still continuing.
Hmm.
But with that, in this period of time, my faith has grown. And you think, some people may think, well, suffering then makes your faith weaker, right?
Right.
We go through difficult times and we start to question, especially when prayers aren't answered the way we want them to. And,
Hmm.
where is God in all of this?
Right.
And it has allowed me to bring another level of depth and richness into my coaching, being
Hmm.
able to reach people's hearts in their suffering,
Hmm.
even though our suffering isn't the same. Because suffering is suffering, and what that suffering looks like may be different for you, may be different for me. So when I walk into the room with the women veterans, or when I walk into the room with the PTSD veterans, it's a completely different level of
Hmm.
understanding in their suffering, right? So
Right.
I walked in, back in 2021 with a level, and then walking with them through different things and then walking through my own journey
Hmm.
has now brought this new level of understanding, a new level of listening, right? There's going back to that, so
Yeah.
important that now I listen with a different set of ears. Like I thought I was a good listener then, and now it's just like, whoa, there's just a whole different experience of what I listen for, what I see
Hmm.
because of my own suffering. So
Hmm.
I have thanked God for that
Hmm.
because I'm able to reach people at a different level. And that is when you ask, God, and you pray for things and you're like, wait, that's not what I prayed for. But when you step back and you see it, the bigger picture, which we can't always see the bigger picture, we can't always understand what's going on.
Right. Right.
But in my little world, I'm able to say, okay, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
To the point that I'm like, God, don't stop until you feel like I am ready. And this suffering is just part of the process on my journey to being a better coach, to being a better aromatherapist. Like, I'm always open to growing and learning. And I think
Mhm.
that's important as a coach and as an aromatherapist, especially because there's always something up and coming and always something new to
Oh,
learn. And so we're always learning. And I am
wow.
always willing and open to learning because I know that's going to be able to bring more to those that I serve.
Yeah, you bring up service, selflessness. You bring up these character qualities that are complete spiritual qualities of how we connect with other human beings. And it's a process, it sounds like. And then it
For
sounds like
sure.
suffering has allowed you to develop, to become more selflessly serving another
Yes.
human being,
Hmm.
which I believe all of us want. First and foremost, we want it for ourselves, but then life really is teaching us that we're to be it for others also. And there's
Absolutely.
that process. Yeah. And
Yes.
then the essential oil piece. Can you just say something about not all essential oils are the same.
Yes.
'Cause there's a growing interest in it, but there's essential oils that work for good and essential oils that might actually not be helpful for you at all.
Right. Yeah. So there's a couple pieces to that. There's understanding that all essential oils are not created equal.
Mm,
You can kind of, if I were to try to keep it simple, I try to think
mhm.
about, and when I explain it, I think about green beans in a can
Okay.
and green beans that are picked straight out of the garden. You know, you're going to get that satisfaction of your appetite's going to be satisfied. You're going to get that piece, but
Mm,
the vitamin content in a canned version of green beans and the vitamin contact amount of vitamins and freshness in what comes out of a garden
mhm,
is different. So when I
mm,
think about the quality of essential oil, I think about those two. You're going to get an essential oil. You're going to have an essential oil. Both of them you can even apply, and or they may smell good, but you're not getting the same quality and effect that
mm,
you would get if you ate a fresh green bean versus a green bean that's out of the garden. And you're thinking about this continuing to accumulate in your body. You keep giving yourself the really good green beans, your body's going to continue to get the vitamins and the
mm,
nourishment. And the other ones, you might get your appetite satisfied, right? So we're getting multiple components here versus just in the can. So when I think about essential oils and the quality of the essential oils, the chemical constituents, how it's distilled, where it's grown, all of that comes into the quality of the essential oil. And if it's not taken care of and cultivated and cared for in one environment versus the other, you're going to see that in the outcomes. So when we use essential oils, especially for my family, my clients, I use high quality, pure essential oils.
mm.
The company that I've used and I really trust is Young Living Essential Oils, and we've been using that for coming 9 years now.
Mm,
And my clients, my family love it. And we've had many, many testimonials on the benefits of the essential oils. So there's an understanding. And I personally, I will raise my hand guilty. I had no clue
mm,
what went into essential oils. When I first started, when I was
mhm,
researching, I was buying them wherever I could find them cheapest. Right?
mhm,
I wasn't using them topically on my body, but I was using them to kind of get chemicals out of my home, washing floors and things like that. So I went and got the cheapest thing I could
mm,
find. And then when I came to the point where I was having a baby and I was going to be applying essential oils or using them aromatically and topically on my body,
mhm,
I was digging a little deeper. I
mm,
was searching, I was looking to understand. And that's when I realized, wow, I do not want to put this on some tender parts of my body if I don't know where it's sourced and where it's coming from and the
mm,
quality of it. So that's where I went and I found the Young Living Essential Oils, and I've been using them ever since. And I absolutely, absolutely love and stand by them. And I'll just say, am I opposed if a client like wants to use an oil? I will share exactly what we have, and everybody again has a choice. But
right.
these are the ones that I know and use the potency of them, and it just makes my work a lot easier.
Right.
Right, to know like this is really potent. So if I were to say this is 10 drops of
Excuse me.
this particular essential oil, then
Mhm.
it may not be equivalent to another brand or another quality
Yeah.
of essential oils. So does that answer did I answer your question?
Well, definitely, because in all things and in our culture today, I find a lot of people are always judging um, everything
Sure.
before they make a decision. In today's rational, logical world, evidence based, because you brought that up, evidence based, like what's your background, what's your bio, what's your resume,
Sure.
can you prove what you do works? And they do that with faith too.
Hmm.
Can I'm not willing to invest in your existential being if there is one unless I can prove that your faith works or that there is a God, and I want to see it in person. So we're really in a unique time in our culture where we're our own judges of how we're going to live our lives, but we
Mhm.
have no idea really what the bios are, if you will, or the resumes that we're to be looking for because we're so in the moment. And you
Right.
keep talking about process and developing and changing, and then the suffering piece. And that's another thing that I find fascinating, that quick fix that we have to have.
Yeah. Right. Yes. Yeah. And it's a hard one not to want to grasp in a world that's so fast
Mhm.
paced. And we got to keep going and we got to keep going and we got to fix this and keep going and keep running. And that's also what I talk about in my book about Unshakable Joy is filling that pitcher. Because if
Mhm.
we are running our pitcher on empty, if we're trying to serve others and what are we pouring out? If our
Mm,
pitcher is empty, we have nothing. And so that's where we hit the point of irritability and we're frustrated and we're stressed. And then we just wake up and we do it again the next day. And we wake
yeah.
up and we're stressed and we keep going. And then we wake up the next day and we do it. And then we wonder why we're getting sick. We're wondering why we're on edge or we feel like our shoulders are up to our ears. And yet
Mm,
we're living the life that we love, and it takes a step back, and that's where my injury and my suffering kind of really was. It was eye opening because
mm.
we could easily keep going. We could easily keep going. If I have a good day, I'll tell you what, I want to hit the floor running, so I'm
Right.
like, yes, good day. But should I, because I have
Mm,
this good day, can I just enjoy it being still and not filling it with everything that needs to be done? But can I just focus on three things and be satisfied with that? Will I
so
fill those three things and be like, look, I still feel great. Let me do more. And then at the end of the day, I can't function. Right. So it's just
right.
thinking about what are we in? What's our season? Can we
Mm,
choose joy in the season we're in this
so
present season, instead of looking forward to a season we want to be in
mm,
and not enjoying and living this moment because our eyes are so focused on what's next. If I get to this, can I get to the next thing? And that again goes back to our connection. If we're here and we're going, going,
right.
going, do we have that time for connection? Do we have time to pour into the relationships with others and with God? And do we have that feeling of, I feel good today. I love the life I live today.
Mm,
And that's where I really focus on that with coaching. And again, coaching, it starts with me. It starts with me living that life. And am I perfect? No. Will I confess it? Absolutely. I am not
uh,
going to say that I'm up here, coach. I'm right here, coach. I'm right here where everyone else is because I'm not perfect and I'm growing and I'm learning and I'm going to walk there with you. And I will tell you my struggles
mm,
because likely you've gone through the same thing. And
mhm,
when somebody knows that they're not alone, that
mhm.
this weird feeling or this weird thought or I shouldn't be feeling this way, and then somebody comes into your life and says, hey, this has happened, this thought, the action, the feeling, and it's exactly the same. They're like,
Mhm.
wait a minute, what? I thought I was the only one. I can't tell you how many times I hear that. I thought I was the only one. And no, you're not the
Mm,
only one. And now we have a connection because
yeah.
you're not alone anymore.
So it sounds like you're able to distill what I want to do today with the long term
Right.
also. So a both and, not an either or.
Right. Exactly. Because you
Okay.
do want to have plans and goals. I set smart goals with people all the time, right? We
Mhm.
have to have some sort of dangling carrot, right?
Yeah.
Something to strive for. But within that, living in the moment of each accomplishment, each milestone, each baby step, and not dismissing it as it's not
Yeah.
important because it's not this end goal yet. All these stepping stones that are on the journey to that goal all matter, all
They all
count.
matter.
Because if life happens and that end goal doesn't happen, like in my case where I'm just like, dangling carrot, I'm
Right.
coming. I don't want to miss this that's going on because this dangling carrot is getting in the way.
Getting in the way. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
I
And we sometimes have to change that dangling carrot, right? Because we can be a little lofty with our goals sometimes, and ends up not working out like we plan.
Breaking it down into smaller pieces.
Exactly.
Okay.
Baby steps. I have a little thing on
Baby
my
steps.
desk that says small steps every day. And that is the baseline for starting with all of my clients. We're taking small steps. 1% more joy. Baby steps. Because by the time we get to the end of a year, that compounded effect, you're going to see that transformation, but it has to come with small steps. A lot of people that I work with are very overwhelmed in the current state of their life. Yeah. So if I throw something on the table and say, I want you to do this goal, they'll be like, can't do it. Or they'll say yes. And then I'll meet them again. And they're like, nope, couldn't even do it.
Too much.
Too much. So each individual, I have ones that are very goal driven and others that are like, I just want to get dinner on the table.
Oh.
And so I meet them where they are. Each individual where they are. And
from an outside view and say, this is what we could possibly remove. Let's take this out for a little bit. Like, get it boiled down to?
Right.
What are the most important elements? Like, okay, what is it going to take to get dinner on the table?
Right.
And can you do this?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. And we've both gone through experiences in our life. We've gone through difficult seasons. We've gone through motherhood, right? These times where we're just like, can we even function?
Right.
Can you even function? And every little thing that you do is like, oh my word, I can't believe I did that. Oh, I did that. Oh, I got a baby diaper on. I got right. And I got dressed this morning, I got my hair, I took a shower, right? We remember these years of motherhood where these simple things, what people would just be like, big deal. You took a shower. I mean, I do it every day, but for a first time mom, a second time mom, this is, it's hard.
Expectations are, I think, the other driver. Like, let's remove the unnecessary expectations from your life. Figure out where they came from. If we need to, get rid of them. Because, maybe the only thing you need to worry about is the diaper.
That's right.
It's the only thing you need to worry about.
That is absolutely right. And that is okay. And that's okay. It's okay. I will often say, and I say it all the time, comparison is the thief of joy. Oh. Comparison is the thief of joy. I'm guilty of it. I have to catch myself because it's easy to get caught into the comparison game where all of a sudden what we thought was amazing is now like not enough.
Not enough.
Because somebody else is accomplishing so much more, and therefore I should be like that mom, or I should be like that coach, or I should be like that aromatherapist. So we can compare to anything. There's so much that we can compare to, but we start to lose that joy that we had because comparison just now strips us of it. And that's where, again, that firm foundation in faith, that's really where my foundation is when I fall crumble. That's where I fall. Like my faith is everything. And if I don't know who I am in Christ, then who am I?
Who are you in Christ? Letitia, who are you in Christ?
I am a daughter. I am a daughter. I am I am who I am because he lives in me. And so I can't express that joy that I
Mm,
speak so much about if my foundation and my root of joy isn't living in me.
mm.
So that's where it comes from. Good days, bad days, hard days, frustrating days, days I want to pull out my hair, days I want to jump for joy. It's all rooted in Christ, and that's the firm foundation.
Yes. Have you been a Christian for very long? Did you grow up in a Christian family?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
I grew up in a Christian family. I always thank my parents that the best gift that they gave me was my faith and my
Mm,
walk with Christ. Now, was I always as firmly rooted as
mm,
I am
mhm,
today? No.
mm, mhm.
Again, process.
Process.
And I took time to get to where I'm at and continuing to grow
Mm,
again. There are detours and bumps and all sorts of things in my life where I could take those experiences and
mhm.
connect with people now who are struggling in their faith, or who maybe grew up in the faith and maybe wandered off, and they're feeling
Right.
that maybe God doesn't want to have anything to do with me anymore
Mm,
because I walked away. And I'm like, no, 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 no. Come, let's walk, because God has great things for you.
mm.
And it's not a perfect life where everything is going to be easy. If we read the Bible, nothing is easy. There's a lot of hardship and suffering, and there's
Contradictions.
exactly. And you can essentially go through so many different things in your life and find hope in the Bible because of the journeys that others have taken.
Mm.
And you see them working through difficult suffering,
Oh,
hardships, abandonment,
right.
betrayal. I
Mhm.
mean, Jesus did it all, and yet he still gave his life
Mm,
for us. So I feel that when I see others in that
mhm.
space unworthy, or they've, perhaps felt like through comparison they're not worthy,
Yeah.
um, I like to come alongside them and walk with them and help them to see God everywhere. I love to help people
Yeah.
see God everywhere, to start to see the little things that happen in your life that are
Mhm.
big things, that are hugs from God saying, I'm here with
Mm,
you. So I see that in my suffering. Um, has things changed?
mhm.
Maybe little bits here and there. We're making progress, but
Uh-huh.
God has revealed himself in a way where I can see things happening around me, whether it's a text that comes in at the
Mhm.
perfect time. Is it by coincidence? I say God incidence, that
Right.
right in that moment, that person knew exactly what to speak into my life. It could be a worship song that comes
Mhm.
at just the right time. It could be a visit. There's so many things that we could just say, oh, it was so nice that so and so visited me.
Mhm.
But that person came at just the right time.
How do you explain that?
Right. In a moment
Right.
where you really needed it.
Mhm.
And that person, I say, you're a godsend. And God
Yeah.
knew. God knew. And thank you for allowing God to use you today.
Yeah. There's the element piece in there too of accepting the mysteries. Like
Mhm.
we demand answers. Like why is there suffering for this person and not suffering for that person?
Right.
And then we'll invest if because then we'll look at it and like, okay, that makes sense to me. We
Right.
are the cognitive rational sides of us is just really in the forefront of who we are spiritually right now. And it hasn't always been that way, but that's
Right.
who we are now.
Right.
And I think we get in our own way sometimes of trusting something that we can't control or we're unaware of.
Right.
And
Right.
yeah, I historically I think all faiths speak to that mystical side and the
Right.
wisdom. Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
And there's the piece too, like you talked about, wanting things right away.
Oh, yes.
And right when we pray for something and we open our eyes and we're waiting for that instant answer and it doesn't happen. And then, like you said, well, then I can't really have faith. But faith is
Yes.
like believing in the unseen, like the things that we
Yep.
cannot see. And
Yep.
so if we're not seeing a manifestation of our prayers answered,
Mhm.
are we then having faith that of what is
Yep.
the hope of what can be? And that's the joy of the faith that we have is
Yeah.
I get to have hope. I get to have joy. I get to have faith. I get to. And that is a
Mhm.
privilege. That is a privilege. But that took a
Yeah.
lot of growth for me. That took a lot of
Yeah.
growth in the process. And trusting God is with me through it all. And
Mhm.
he's with you, and he's
Mhm.
with everyone that we walk with. He's there. He's there with us.
I appreciate you sharing who you are spiritually, professionally with us today. Do you have any words that you'd like to share with us before we depart for the day?
Yes. One thing I would like to leave you with
Uh-huh.
is see God everywhere
Mm,
and choose joy.
thank you, Letitia.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.